This genuinely might be the most authentic fish tank I have ever made. I can't believe him, look at that fish.
Today I'm going to show you how to create a natural looking fish tank for your betta fish based on the environments that these animals come from, such as the rice paddies of Asia. And I will include some top tips that you might not never have known. So make sure you stick around to the end to find out exactly how it turned out. Without further ado, let's get to it. Okay, for context here, these are two cube aquariums, both from Amtra. They are 20 by 20 by 20, about 15 liters, I think, each, roughly. About £30 from Amazon, just over 30 quid. And they're really good tanks. And also I have this LED light that I'm using for both of the tanks, which is going to be really helpful. It's by a company called AQQA. Or Aqua, or however it's pronounced, but the light's going to sit really well on top of here, and yeah, it just saves a bit of money having two tanks run in tandem with the same light. So yeah, we're going to set it up. I have somewhere in my shed pond sand or play sand, and that is what we're going to be using as the substrate. Now the idea of the tank, like I said, is to go like proper biotope on it if we can. So we're going to do like a bit of a sandy substrate, and then we are going to fill it with like hair grass from Asia. I'll try and get some like B-roll so you can kind of roughly see the types of environments these fish come from. They tend to have lots and lots of like bamboo leaves falling into the tank or into the water. So we're going to try and add loads of bamboo leaves and strands and twigs and make it as sort of as natural looking as possible, and hopefully that will contrast really well with this one. Whether we put tannins into it is a different matter. Tannins, if anybody doesn't know, is kind of like the brown stain that you get from leached wood or botanicals, and it gives a really nice sort of black water look. But in the natural habitats that I've seen some videos, they're not too heavily stained. So we might go for something a bit clearer, and then we can have a nice little contrast, but we'll see how we go. So we're going to obviously add sand here, which I've been doing. We're going to have plants in this, mainly sort of hair grass type plants, pondish kind of plants, I guess. But we're not going to have a soiled substrate. So I'm going to try it with sand and hopefully see how it goes. I'm not going to have like major amounts of plants in here, and hopefully being hair grass plants, they'll grow quite quickly anyway. So we don't need too much of a deep soiled substrate. I'm just going to kind of keep that as neutral as possible because I want lots of botanicals, so lots of leaves and everything to cover the bottom of this tank anyway. So it'll just be the plants sort of peering through, but we might just have the sandy substrate just to kind of mimic a little bit of what you might see in the natural habitat. All right, so whilst we're waiting for some plants to arrive and getting some other bits set up, I thought I'd show you these. So I'm fortunate enough to import a lot of the botanicals that I sell on my website. So this is stuff that you can get on my site. I'll leave a link in the description below. But this really cool stuff is like bamboo, and they're really nice sort of thin, small strands of bamboo leaves and stems and stuff. And they're just absolutely awesome. And they are going to look great. These are completely dry and dead, and I've used these plenty of times in my tanks in the past. So they are going to be awesome for laying on the bottom of the substrate here, which is going to be really cool. And also on my shelf here, I have collected some more bamboo leaves as well, which were quite local to me from a bamboo tree. So yeah, I've got some big ones if I need to use them there, and we might layer some of them throughout the tank once we've got a base of small ones. So yeah, we're going to boil these up at some point, but I just thought I'd show you these. They're really cool, and when you look at like a lot of the natural habitats of betta fish, you often see these type of bamboo leaves dropping into the water from the trees above, and yeah, looks really cool. So I'm hoping that that's going to give a nice sort of contrast to the substrate and make it look super natural. Alright, so the plants that I ordered have finally arrived, and I have to say they look amazing. This is like hair grass. I can't remember the exact name, I'll put it up on screen. But yeah, I got these off the internet, and they're slightly longer than what I was, well, I thought I was going to get. I really hoped I was going to get some really long sort of stem plants, but yeah, these ones seem to be quite long. So we're going to plug them into the substrate like all over the tank, sort of like from the front to the back. And make it like a really nice kind of submerged feel. And then once I've got the plants in, then we're going to start boiling up some botanicals, some bamboo leaves and things, and then we'll put them in, and then we'll put some maybe bits of wood or whatever, just to sort of add a few little sort of accents to the tank, I guess. So yeah, let's get cracking.
As you can see, I'm pushing the plants direct into the sand. Now normally I would use soil for nutrients, but in this case we're just going to be using sand, and if needed I will add root tabs in the future. But as we're not looking for massive growth, the plants should do fine as they are. This also is one of the rare times I decided to plant prior to filling up the tank with water, so hopefully none of the plants come out when we fill it up later down the line.
Alright, looking awesome so far. I've added quite a few bits surrounding the tank and everything, so I'll give a nice sort of view, and hopefully once the water's in it, that'll spread the plants. I had to add a bit extra sand just to give the depth of substrate, just so the roots sort of stayed in. I've got a few extra plants left, but we will put them on once we have everything else in. So next up, we're going to fill up the water a little bit just to make sure that the plants are sort of settled in the roots, and then we'll add some botanicals and everything else. Yeah, so how awesome does that look now? Like that's actually come out better than I expected, so it looks really cool. I love the hair grass there. What we're going to do is we're, like I said, going to get some botanicals in there first, just to layer the bottom substrate, and then hopefully I'll give that really nice natural looking feel, and then that'll look like the plants are sort of growing through from the botanicals. So yeah, I'm so chuffed. It's looking awesome at the moment, so yeah, we'll crack on. Right, so yeah, we're gonna get some botanicals in. Like I said, we're gonna be using these bamboo leaves, and I love the fact that they're like some greens and some yellows, but it's been dried for, God, 6 months probably since I actually got these. So they've probably been dried way before that as well. So they're really good to use. I've used them loads of times in my shrimp tank. So if there was an issue, shrimp would have been the first one to know about it. But yeah, absolutely great. Sorry about the noise here. It's an absolute storm outside. For some reason, there is a storm in England. But yes, we are going to get some of them into the tank. Now, one thing I wanted to let you know is when you're boiling botanicals, or when you're getting botanicals, you can source them from the woods if you want. There's plenty of places where you can get them from. Just be careful where you're getting them from though. So in the woodland areas, try and avoid like dog trails, that sort of thing, where animals could be soiling the botanicals, and also that they're away from the road. So go right into the woodland areas if you're going to pick up things, just so you make sure that there's no car pollution and all that sort of thing on the leaves and botanicals that you're going to use. But what I always do, and I'll always recommend, is I take the botanicals and I boil them first. I boil them for about 40 minutes in a saucepan. I'll then rinse or tip out the water from that pan, give it a bit of a rinse with some water, some tap water, and then I will use them into the tank. Now, some people don't like this because they like to have all of their tannins that are sort of released from the boiling process, but I just don't think that it's right to put that water back into your fish tank, even if it's been boiled. So I tend to try and take the extra step just in case. Also, if you buy products from certain shops and places that you can get them from, sometimes they've had pesticides used on them to stop any insects that have been used, because again, a lot of like crafting things can be used for, you know, making like Christmas wreaths and stuff like that. So sometimes they put pesticides on them just to kill any bacteria or animals and insects. So I always boil them and wash them, rinse them a few times, and then I will test them in aquariums, small aquariums or something like that, and see how they go before I put them into my fish tank. Again, everybody's water is different and everyone's got a different process, so just be aware of that before you start going crazy with adding botanicals. I've got very hard water here. I've used these botanicals loads of times before, so I know the process. All right, so we boiled up our botanicals and rinsed them out, and I just put a little bit of water in there just so I can get the leaves out a little bit easier so they don't stick together. So yeah, let's get them into the tank, and my God, is it windy out here. Right, yeah, we're gonna add some things, but look, hello Stanley. This is Stanley, he's interested. But yeah, we're gonna start with some of the smaller leaves, and then we are gonna scatter them around the bottom, and then work our way up and see how we go. So you can see, even after nearly an hour's worth, I left these because I was eating my lunch, an hour's worth of boiling, some of the leaves are still floating. So it just shows you that they do take a little while to sink and settle down. But yeah, I'm not too concerned because obviously we aren't putting any fish in at the moment because the water is freezing cold and not cycled, so we'll just keep adding things and we'll watch it as we go. All right, things are looking awesome so far. Added lots of bamboo leaves and stuff. I think I'm going to add some twigs or some sticks or something just to sort of give a little bit more of a submerged look there. But yeah, so far it's looking amazing. See how it looks nice and messy, and this is kind of what you would see in one of the rice paddies in Asia. So that is looking awesome. So what we think is we've got a few more bigger bamboo leaves here and some casuarina cones. These casuarina trees grow around rice paddies in Asia, so they're going to look really cool, but they just take a long time for them to sink, so I'm not sure if they're just going to bob right to the top or they're going to sink, but we'll get some in anyway. So this is what we've got so far, and man, doesn't it look cool. Well, I think it does anyway, but yeah, I'm so proud of this tank so far. Like, I love the little subtle piece of wood there. It just gives it a kind of like a natural sort of like from immersed to submersed, which is cool, like a branch that's fell in, but we don't want to overwhelm it. Looking at some of the videos that I've seen online of rice paddies, it's very similar to this. Obviously, it's not perfect. It's not an exact replica, but I love the fact that the bamboo leaves are all down here and they're just sort of displaced in all different ways. And also that we've got the nice casuarina cones giving a little bit of like subtlety touches and stuff like that to the substrate, which looks really awesome. What we need to do now is get the tank set up and cycled, and then we wait, and then we will put a betta fish in. Now, I don't know if I can find anything that sort of half remotes any of the animals that come from that habitat, especially in my local fish shops and stuff, without ordering something online. So we'll see how we go, but yeah, I mean, so far so good. So in terms of cycling the aquarium, obviously we're going to use aquascape aquasafe here, sorry, from Tetra, and then we're going to use this safe start bacteria. So this will kickstart the biological bacteria or the nitrogen cycle, and I'll give it a good boost and everything, so we can get the aquarium really nice and good and quick. Also, the botanicals will help speed up the process as well, as they decay and build up bacteria there.
So we are a few weeks later down the line, and I finally went out to grab this absolutely stunning Crowntail Betta fish. I won't lie, I think this really gives the tank the wow factor, especially as it's so vibrant within the more neutral colours of the tank, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how this setup matures over time. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and also make sure you check out the links in the description for some amazing underwater videos that I use for inspiration for this aquarium. They are amazing. And if you want to learn more about blackwater aquariums, make sure you check out my beginners playlist, which is on screen right now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.